My name is Alon Halevy. I am a computer scientist specializing in AI and data management, and currently I work for Amazon. AI and data integration can mean different things when you're in a different context or company. And that you got to keep that in mind, because in the academic world, we tend to think of these problems as being clean problems that you can take anywhere. So for example, at Google, AI, when I was there, AI meant how can we help you find information on the internet, understand that information so we can give you better answers when you're looking for it. At Facebook, AI meant how can we connect people better together? How can we make the social network a more fun, informative, worthwhile place to be? So those are two very different problems that use AI, and so the techniques that you're going to use are going to be different as well. In academia, we tend to think about the problems in a more principled fashion, in more cleaner abstractions that apply very widely, and so these principles are actually important when you start taking a problem into a particular context. The important thing to keep in mind is that both AI and data integration can mean you have to work on the problem in the context of the organization you're trying to help right now, and that's actually not as easy as it sounds sometimes. Following up on the previous question, I think you need to keep the context in mind. So I've made this mistake where I've come to places with a certain fixed idea of a particular technology and looked for ways to get that technology to work in this company. Look at what the company needs first, okay? Look at what version of this technology might be useful to that company. Be ready to say, well, maybe in this company, this particular technology just doesn't apply, and you should work on something else or move to a different company. So make sure you understand the context, get to know the surrounding fields, because that's going to inform you. It's also going to show you connections to your own field or ways to extend your own field in such a way that you actually can make an impact. So it's just don't be fixed. Be ready to work on things that you're uncomfortable with. In industry, the benefit is you have the problems, you have the data, so you're very rich in opportunity in that way. The problem there is that sometimes you don't have the time or the resources to think about the problems at the depth and breadth that you want. So you want to design solutions, but you need to go to market fast. And so you end up cutting corners, and sometimes that gets you into debt later on because you build something and that thing doesn't actually work very well. It's very hard to go from version 1 to version 2, and so you end up spending much more time on version 2 than you did if you would build version 1 well. So you're time constrained, but you have data. So what you do know is what problems the customers or the users are facing. In academia, you have the time and you have the ability to think more, but you don't really have the access to the problems as well as you do in industry. So how do you bridge the gap? You talk a lot, okay? There are a lot of opportunities today where even faculty spend time at companies or even part-time at companies. So at Amazon, for example, we have a pretty large number of scholars. These are professors who worked at the company as well. So it's those kinds of building those bridges, talking across the academia and industry, that is really, really important. It's really about communication, mostly. I've been working in areas related to semantics for many years, but recently I've been more on the generative AI sort of side of things, but trying to arguing for the need for more semantics and structure and stuff like that. So it's interesting for me to see how the community is doing with respect to this big, development that, in the eyes of many, threatens to sort of make the community less relevant than it was before, right? I think this community is relevant, and I think that the techniques that developed in this community are important. The question is, what is the best way to incorporate these techniques into the new AI paradigms? And so what I'm curious to see in this conference is, how are people from inside the community thinking about this, and how broadly and urgently they are thinking about it? Because I think it's a really interesting question for everybody. Yeah, I would just add one thing, that when we think about Gen AI and how it relates to the technologies we have in this community, we tend to get stuck on where Gen AI is today. And let's keep in mind that these are the early days of Gen AI, right? And so think 5 years ahead. Think about where Gen AI needs to go to incorporate ideas from semantics, and don't look at what they're doing today. We need to evolve to a place where the ideas from semantics can actually make more of an impact on AI. Think forward.